Hello everybody, I'm SJM. Welcome back to some Valhelsia 3 on Dizzy's server. So I just wanted to go over some of the things that I did in the mid-game, and now that I've gotten into some of the endgame stuff going on there, just wanted to review with you. In the astral sorcery department, not much has changed here, but I did want to go over some things that I learned, albeit the hard way, and having to redo all of my astral sorcery stuff again here. First things first, I'm growing a gem crystal cluster here. So in the book there under Diamonism Gems, this is where you can make gems so that you can just, kind of improve on your overall power level with astral sorcery. So throwing a rock crystal into starlight with illumination powder. That'll get you growing this little crystal here, and then when that's all done growing up, there'll be some particle effects coming off. You break it, and then you'll have your gem after that. And they get some different properties. Just reading through the book here, I'll let you know about all of that stuff there, but just wanted to go over that. Then on the perks here, a couple of things here. So I got up to level 32 so far out of 40, and then kind of went out and kind of got some nice quality of life things, I thought, but unfortunately one of them didn't work out, and so now I'm going to have to reset my whole tree again. So yeah, the first things that I went from starting with Visio here, and then back out through this way, getting the reach nodes, and then down here for the first notable, which would be spatial manipulation, so that I don't have to wear my ring of magnetism anymore, so that now when I break blocks they go directly into my inventory. Then I wanted to traverse up to this section of the tree, so I got this epiphany here. So getting these three nodes and then getting the center triangle means you can go to any of the other triangles on the tree. So then I transitioned up this way and I got this consistent luck, so that'll get me an extra level of fortune. And we'll note that there in a little bit later. And then I came down this way for a couple of things. I wanted to get the gem socket here. I have a gem socket there I can get for these gems that I'm growing. And as well, I wanted to check out this mining size one, and I wanted to get this different angles as well. So that's where I was going to next with my next points. But unfortunately, with this illusory hammer mining size, that's just horrible. It's great in the fact that, you hit something and then you get a 3x3 done, right? Because your mining size is +1. But what it means is that if you want to do any work around your base, like if I wanted to break just this thing here, it'll break all, like, everything adjacent to it, because it mines the 3x3 for anything, and you can't turn it off. You can't like crouch to turn it off to break something. It's pretty bad. So likewise with there's a second one on there, because I was thinking of even getting +2 mining sizes, and then you'd have a plus like a 5x5 mining, but definitely don't suggest that at all, just because if you want to do any kind of fine work, like just moving one of your machines around, you'll break everything that's around it. So I have to reset my whole tree and stay away from illusory hammer. The other one that I learned earlier on that I had to reset for was this Spectral Wings. So I showed you how I had my Visio mantle before. Now that works like an Elytra. If you get the Spectral Wings, that'll give you creative flight, but it's based around the amount of starlight you have on your bar. So I'm just going to throw on my mantle here, and you can see at the bottom there I've got my experience bars overlaid with my Botania mana, which is this light, or this cyan blue one, which comes up to about here. And then my starlight, which is like a sparkly white one, which is filled all the way up there. And if I grab my traversal wand there, this is what makes the Elytra with the Visio mantle work so well, is that this will launch me up into the air. And you can see how my starlight's gaining back here. It's there, just like. But with the Elytra on, I just kind of float like just using the Visio mantle like an elytra allows me to fly around like that, and then to just kind of gotta know how to fly with an elytra, but coming in for a soft landing is like that. You can really hurt yourself if you go into the ground hard or into the side of a tree or a mountain or anything if you're flying around there. So it's pretty bad if you're doing like high speed stuff. So try and stay away from that. But yeah, with that with that astral charge down there, you're with that one perk here, Spectral Wings, your creative flight only lasts as long as that bar, which takes about 10-12 seconds or so for it to go down if you're using the creative flight with the Visio mantle. So definitely stay away from that one if you're doing Visio flight, because that's it really is no good. So yeah, I'll be redoing it, coming up here for the different angles instead of getting this one. And then I've got 5 other points where I don't quite know what to do with it, but another one that might be interesting is the Phoenix's Blessing, but I just don't have enough points to traverse over to this one here and then get there, because that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I would need 7 points total to get to that Phoenix's Blessing, so I'd have to drop 2, which, you know, would be like the 2 gem sockets, but I want the 2 gem sockets. So not sure what else to do there, but I like that. I like the spatial manipulation one. The +1 fortune is really good too. And getting this one where I don't have to carry around an axe and a shovel with me anymore will be really good. So that's what I'm going to be doing with the astral sorcery as we move on. And die. Alright, we'll be back there in a minute. Somebody passed the day for us, but yeah, I guess we'll talk about my mid and end game armor set. So in the mid game, I went with the Eternium level stuff because I was flying around in the end with my Mantle of Stars there, so that was helping me get from place to place and finding lots of stuff in the end. So Eternium is basically end mixed with netherite items. So if we look at the recipe for Eternium, on the smithing table, if you take terminite grade items and you add an Eternium ingot onto it, that gets you to the Eternium Boots. The Eternium ingot is made in the Better End Forge by combining terminite with netherite. Right, netherite's just your typical vanilla stuff there. Go down to the lower levels of the nether and you'll find ancient debris, and then you can process the ancient debris to get your netherite there to get your Eternium. So similarly with the terminite, so to get terminite helmets, you need terminite ingots, which are again made in the alloy with iron and ender dust. Ender dust you have to get by crushing, so I used the mechanism crusher, the ender shards, which you find just as ores. It's fairly rare and a little bit tricky to find because sometimes you got to dig into some of the end islands, which is in itself a little bit of a scary proposition, but you can usually find them kicking around on the surface there or on the side of a wall and get some ender shards that way. So you crush them up, you get your ender dust, then you smelt it up with some iron to get your terminite, put together your terminite gear, mix it with the Eternium ingot, and then you get the Eternium level gear. So after Eternium, I was finished with that stuff, and I just enchanted that kind of the regular way and found a few of the mending items in the end, just items with mending on them, so stripped them off with the enchantment stripper and threw them onto my gear so that it kind of did that. Then I went to my end game level, which is the tier. Again, these are from the end. And if we look at the recipes for this, it takes up these dragon scales. So the dragon scales, these ones you have to make from different, and we'll wait till it comes in here, from these dragon scales here, which you'll have to find a bunch of ships. And you don't have to, with the Better End mod, installed, you'll find lots of these ships lying around, like crashed into the ground and just, you know, basically not all over the place, but they're not, you know, restricted just to end cities like they are in vanilla. So you can get some dragon heads pretty good like that. So 3 of those with a mystical dagger will get you some dragon scales, and then from there you've got to make the 2 different kinds, the aquatic and the golden dragon scales. So the golden dragon scales, you'll need arcane gold with a dragon scale, and then for the aquatic one, you'll need to kill some guardians from a ocean temple to get prismarine shards, or you can also craft the prismarine shards in a crusher from the crystals, which you can find in various places around there. So that's how I got to those end things. And the enchantments on there, I did the super cheaty way. If you guys want to know anything about that, message me in game, but basically there is a super cheaty enchantment table that basically there's some neat ones that you can't get through there, but basically it's super easy to get this super powerful type of gear or enchantments on there. Like there's a lot more things we could get on leggings, but that's all that you can get with the cheaty way. So like I said, there's some pluses and minuses. The plus is very huge and way like overpowered. But the minuses are you can't get some of the cooler enchantments that are out there. And then with the weapon, I went with a Draco Arcanus sword, which again is more dragon scales and a Draco Arcanus staff. That gets us that sword base level there. I enchanted this one just the basic way, just with a bunch of books together, and then I had found some extra tomes to get the extra level of looting and the extra level of sweeping edge. The leech and the vorpal are just kind of quality of life stuff, gets you a little bit of health back when you're fighting, and gets you some extra heads. So going around and killing some wither skeletons, you can get the heads a lot easier for making withers. I haven't fought a wither yet, but that's definitely on my to-do list once I get my astral stuff reset and that stuff going again. Bow I did the cheaty way, basically, and then the indestructible chant comes from the stellarite ore. So you'll find stellarite ore. When you mine it up, it explodes, but then you get these stellarite pieces, and then from there you combine it with the petrified orbs, and that'll get you an eternal stella, which this you use with any item, and it'll give it the indestructible enchantment. So that's how I got indestructible on all of my gear from there. So let's go down and take a look at my Britannia stuff. So I wanted to get, or I was looking around for ways to get ancient debris. If there was another way, and I found there was through Britannia with this orchid ignum functional flower. And it's like, wait, 64 netherrack on this flower gives me an ancient debris? That seems really, really broken. And indeed, this is pretty fake. So I found out in the end, right? So after all of my testing and everything, I figured this out. But the gem itself, it wasn't too hard to make, except we had to get the pixie dust. So to get the pixie dust, you do need to get the Elven Gateway, which is this guy here. So this is the little bit of multi-block to get your next tier stuff after that. And then I also upgraded my mana ring up to the greater version, which is just basically taking a regular one and combining it with a Terra Steel ingot. And Terra Steel, you do have to make this little multi-block here, with the terrestrial agglomeration plate on it, and it takes a ton of mana to do. So it takes like 75% of a mana pool to make 1 Terra Steel, which is 1 mana diamond, 1 I forget now. What's it called? Mana Steel, Mana Pearl, and a Mana Diamond on here, and it takes, yeah, a lot of mana to do that. So I made these Sparks as well, which are pretty easy. They transfer mana really fast as opposed to the regular mana spreaders, and then I've even made an upgraded Elven mana spreader because I had the Elven Gateway core there, but it doesn't compare to the Sparks there. But back to this Orchid gem, Orchid Ignum. So basically, the way this works is you have to put it in the nether with a mana pool. So, and then it will use mana from the mana pool to transform netherite or netherrack around it into different things. And it does 3 different things, not just ancient debris. It does the nether gold ore and the nether quartz ore. So basically there's no modded ores in the end, so it's only doing these vanilla ones. And I did 2 tests, one with my regular band of mana, which was full, and then one with my greater band of mana, which I only did like 1 full mana pool's worth. So with the regular band of mana, it was about a half a pool, and with the greater band, like I said, I did a full pool, and my results were I got 1 ancient debris from the half pool, 4 of the nether gold ores, and 20 of the nether quartz. So on a half a pool, I got 1, 4, and 20. And then on the full pool, I got 0 ancient debris. I got 5 nether gold, and then I got 45 nether quartz. So that the rates are like, 85, 90% chance you'll get a nether quartz, or 4% chance you'll get another gold ore, and then like a 1% chance on an ancient debris. So it's not very good that you get the ancient debris. So best just to go and find ancient debris the old-fashioned way, mining it, or you can use the mechanism miner to go and get it as well, which is if you need lots of netherite, but you should only really need 4 if you're going to go and make the Eternium stuff. You can make other Eternium things, but I wouldn't suggest it because of how much of a pain getting the ancient debris is in the first place. The other thing I wanted to talk about a little bit was foods. So I've gone into some foods. I had some cherries lying around, so I made some cherry pie. Those are pretty good. Chicken sandwich, not too bad. Exactly the same as the beef stew. So if whether you've got chickens kicking around or cows kicking around, the recipes are roughly the same for a chicken sandwich. This is bread, lettuce, and a carrot along with some chicken. And the beef stew is beef, potatoes, and mushrooms in a bowl. But then there's the Farmer's Delight foods, which are pretty cool as well. So this guy supercharges, right? 7 ham hocks and 13 saturation. But you do need to make a cooking pot. And then basically it takes an extra step, which you need to make raw pasta. That's not too hard. It's just eggs and wheat. But you got to set up your cooking pot over here. I've got mine going because I've got netherrack all over the place. So I just dug down one, lit it on fire, and then put the cooking pot up on over top of that, and then you just put your ingredients in there, your bowl there, and your food will come out there. Pretty easy stuff overall, but really nice food if you want to go to the links to get it. But I'm still just going to live off the stuffed aubergine because it's just too easy, and it is really good for what it does, right? It's like 5 ham hocks, and it's almost the same as these guys here. In fact, it's a little bit better even. So the last thing we'll talk about is the return scroll. So you're out and about, you're going around, and then, in the past I was just carrying around an extra waystone there so that I could pick up my stuff. And yes, I am Jesus walking on water. I'll show you guys that in a minute. And I'd put down an extra waystone, but then I'd have to go back to collect my waystone and then still come back home conventionally anyways. So I think somebody mentioned it in the Discord or in the chat there a little while about these return scrolls. They're super cheap. 3 paper, 2 nuggets, and a purple dye, and you get 3 return scrolls. The way these work is they will return you to the closest waystone, right? So even though this says it's bound, and I'll use air quotes on this one, it's bound to my waystone. If I go, actually it doesn't work interdimensionally either. So if I go to here, you'll see it's now bound to Southwestern Desert Town. So these will always return you back to the closest waystone, whatever it happens to be. And then likewise, if you are in another dimension, they won't move you across dimensions. So the way I've gotten around that is I've taken my spare waystone and put it down close to my portal so that while I'm running around in the nether here, basically just have to grab that return scroll and you hold it, gets all some funky effects there, and then shoots you back to the closest waystone, wherever that closest waystone happens to be. So there's a couple of other scrolls that I haven't bothered to go to look into, but if we look at the waystone mod, so at way, and then the scrolls, there's 3 different kinds. So the return scroll, which is the nice cheap one there. The bound scroll, which I assume you can bind to a particular waystone, and that might work across dimensions. A little bit more expensive because you need an ender pearl to go in there. And the warp scroll, which I'm not sure how the warp scroll will work exactly. So maybe if somebody wanted to test that and figure it out, go for it. Likewise, requires an ender pearl again, so I'm just sticking to these ones because they're super cheap to make. Purple dye. There's lots of these lavenders kicking around. Each lavender will give you 2 lavender blossoms, and those 2 blossoms will give you 2 dye. So basically you're getting 2 dye out of each flower, whereas most of the other ways only give you 1. So just a nice little trick there. So I think that's going to be it for this episode here. Yeah, I was messing around in the Twilight Forest. I've got to finish that up yet, but the extra dimensional stuff I've kind of got to get into now that I've got all of my endgame gear sorted out. Like this sword is super awesome. The bow shoots 3 arrows, so I can kind of like spray it around a little bit, you know, on top of having infinity, of course, quick draw, so it draws really quick. And then once I get my astral sorcery reworked around, I've got a silk touch pick and I've got a fortune 5 pick. Yes, fortune 5. So this was fortune 4, but then with my astral perk it bumps it up to fortune 5. So you get fortune 3 normally through enchanting, and then you find a tome to get it to fortune 4, and then with the astral sorcery perk gets me up to fortune 5. So that's super good for getting diamonds because they're not so plentiful out there. They're not super easy to find, so each ore that you find, you can mine it up and get a ton of them out there. The other broken interaction I wanted to go on was the Depth Strider along with the Ring of Cordata, which I showed you in my initial episode. Basically makes traveling in the water broken. Also makes it super tricky if you're trying to do like just move a little bit. Like if I wanted to maneuver down here, like you go so fast it's almost impossible to get down in there. And then like I said, with the 3x3, sure, seems neat, but until you want, it's fine for mining, but it does get a little bit spammy in your inventory because you'll get a whole bunch of blocks that you don't want. But it does make trying to do anything inside of your base absolutely impossible. So definitely don't go for that. If you want to do 3x3 mining, there's the industrial engineering mining drill. That's a lot better option if you want to do 3x3, 5x5, 7x7. I think it does up to 7x7. I forget exactly, but yeah. Anyways, that is it for this episode. I appreciate you all for checking it out, and yeah, we will see you in game.